Hi friends, welcome and welcome back to Donna's Bookshed. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the few books that I was able to read over the past few weeks in a reading vlog. So right now this is present Donna, and after this clip I'm going to be inserting some clips of me throughout the week and the books that I decided to read and my thoughts while I'm in the process of reading them. In this video, I'm going to be reading Unhinged by Octavia Unhinged Grant because the book really is unhinged, but that's the name of the book, but that's also a nickname for her. And if you read her work, you'll see why. Then I'm also going to be tackling One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I also read Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson, which is a new to me author. That one is like a dark academia fantasy book, and I liked it. Then I also read The Death of the Order by Emily Okorafor, which is also one of my most anticipated books for 2025. So I'm very happy I got a chance to read it. And then, no, that was it. I think I just read, it was 4 books. So Academy for Liars, Death of the Author by Emily Okorafor, Unhinged by Octavia Grant, and One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. So if you want to see my unfiltered thoughts on my reading experience with all of these books, stay tuned and I'll see you in the next clip.
Hey you guys, so just checking in. I just finished reading An Academy for Liars, and I gotta say it was a good read. I liked it overall. So basically in the book we meet this girl named Lennon, and she when we first meet her, she's literally at her engagement party to this dude that she kind of feels like she should be like happy, and she feels less than him, so she feels like she should be grateful for being with him, but she's not happy the way you should be happy when it's your engagement party getting ready to marry the love of your life. We also meet one of her friends, and we get some backstory, finding out that she and this other girl, they were really good friends. Lennon did not continue in pursuing her further education, but her fiance did and her friend did, and now it's kind of like her fiance and friend, they have a relationship together, and she's just kind of like the third wheel to their relationship now. But anyway, halfway through this engagement party, she realized she can't find either of them, and she keeps distracting herself like, no, they'll turn up eventually. But after some time, she goes to look for them, and then she finds them doing the do in the bathroom. And when she finds them, she gets upset. It's kind of confirmation to her, and she hops in his car. She drives away, and she goes to this abandoned parking lot, and she gets a phone call, and this is how she enters this magical school. The school gives her an opportunity to interview and test her abilities, and she makes it in, and this is where the real story starts. At this school, she is learning how to use the art of persuasion, but it's like a magical version of persuasion. So basically, it's the magical version of being able to control other people's will. She has an advisor named Dante, and she has a couple of professors. Throughout the book, she is attracted to Dante, and we find out that he's attracted to her too in very subtle ways. We find out, and there is a romance subplot between those two that was not my favorite. Um, but besides all of that, she is going through this journey trying to unearth her powers, and then they find out she has some extra raw, powerful talent, of course, and they are trying to get her to hone those skills for reasons that she doesn't fully understand until the very end of the book. Um, what I liked about this book, it is that it's a dark academia and everyone is morally greedy. Like Lennon, she is not like the perfect candidate either. She makes a lot of mistakes. Sometimes her thinking can be a little bit juvenile, because I had to keep reminding myself that these are adults and not teenagers, right? The professors, some of them are a little loony in the head too, and they're not good people. Like, essentially the school you're going to learn how to manipulate people, and then once you graduate you can have jobs out in the real world using those powers to help good causes, right? Um, so throughout this book, we see her go through that journey. There's a couple mysterious things happening that she and her friends are trying to figure out. um I will say that this book is also a bit violent. Like, it kind of comes at you hard and fast. Like, you'll be going down, oh, this is what happening, and she's trying to solve this mystery while she's trying to get on top of her schoolwork, and she's trying not to get in trouble so she doesn't get kicked out of the school. And then bam, they'll have an exercise and it'll be described in so much graphic, violent details, right? So that is something to be aware of, right? There she faces a lot of obstacles in this book. Some of it is misogyny, some of it is sexism. Like, people in this book, they have this habit of thinking something is going on between her and a professor, not a professor, the advisor Dante, simply because they think he's taken a special interest in her. And lo and behold, the interest couldn't be because of her talents and her raw abilities. It had to be because they're having sexy times, which they weren't, at least not in the beginning when people were saying that. There are also themes of friendship in this book, where Lennon has to learn to trust other people and open up. But she's finding that people that she's opening up to are not necessarily opening back up to her, and that is a struggle for her. We also get some themes with her family. So she has a decent relationship with her family, but as a teenager, she ran away a lot, and she did a lot of stuff. So the family wants to support her, but they don't have full faith in her because of her past. We also see a relationship with her sister that I liked, and there were some parts in the relationship where her sister was able to resist the manipulation that Lennon was trying on her. And I would have really liked if we had explored more why the sister was able to resist some of that, to let us know, does the sister have a little bit of her own abilities? Like, what it is about the sister that was able what it is about the sister. While she was not in this magical school, we have no reason to believe that the sister has magical abilities. But why was she then able to resist some of Lena's attempt to persuade and manipulate her mind and, like, remove her memories and things like that? So all in all, it was a good book. I enjoyed it. I just wasn't a fan of the romance, because it's like they see each other, they're attracted to each other, they do a few tasks together, and then by the end of the book, they're in love and, like, going all out, willing to sacrifice to make sure the other makes it out of this dark place at the end of the book. And for me, I needed a little bit more to see the build up of how they got there, right? But thankfully, the romance was not the heaviest part of the book, so that made it a whole lot more bearable. So in the end, I rated this one 4 stars, and I liked it. And yeah, now I'm gonna move on to the next book. I think I am between Death of the Author by Enidi Okorafo and One Dark Window. So I'm reading both of those. I'm not sure which one I'm going to pick up right now, but in the next clip, I'll give you my thoughts on whichever one it is I decide to read. Okay? Okay, hey y'all. I am back with another update, and I not started, but I decided to continue on with Death of an Author first. So that's what I'm reading now, and I'm about 37% of the way in. And I have to say that this book is reminding me of why I like this author so much. Like, the story is about this young lady. Her name is Zelu. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct. Basically, she is an adjunct lecturer at this university, and she's teaching writing to these up and coming creatives. And she has also written her own work, but her book has been rejected by all these editors and publishing houses that she sent it out to. And in the midst of her teaching the students, there is this one guy that wrote some rubbish, and she basically told him what he wrote was rubbish. And the students felt offended, and they complained to faculty about her. And eventually, she's let go. And she gets the call that she's been let go from her job while she's in Trinidad and Tobago at her sister's wedding. and she kind of loses it because she feels like she's lost everything now. She is a part of this. Her family is Nigerian, I believe, and all her siblings are so successful. They're like doctors and engineers, and they have all these great money making careers and lawyers and stuff like that. And she is the second sibling. She is also disabled because when she was younger, she fell out of a tree and she became paralyzed from her legs down. So she moves around in a wheelchair. And so her family has created this thing around her where they have basically cocooned her, where they don't expect too much of her because of her disability, but they also won't set her free to just explore and be the best that she can be because they're so worried. They think she's so fragile. They don't actually listen to her as much. Like, she talks, but it just goes through one ear and come out the other. So she's in Trinidad and Tobago. Her sibling is getting married. She gets this news. She meets this guy at the wedding. They have a little nice time and then they become friends. Once she starts spiraling in her room, she says F all of this, and she sits down and she starts writing a brand new novel, just nothing related to anything else she has written before. She feels like all her other work is very pretentious and it's nothing new, but she just randomly starts writing this sci-fi novel. When she gets back from Trinidad, she eventually moves back in with her parents because she doesn't have enough money to keep staying in the place where she was living before. And she finished writing her novel, sends it to her best friend, the same guy that she met in Tobago for the wedding. He loves it and encourages her to send it out. She sends it to her agent and boom, they love it, and she starts getting all these big deals, movie deals, book deals, distribution, all of that great stuff. The book is a story about robots after humanity has become extinct, and it's about robots and AI now existing on Earth after all the humans are gone. And what I'm loving about this book is that it's a story within a story. So in some chapters, we are getting Zelu's point of view and her life and everything is going on with her on her journey to becoming this great author. And then the other chapters, we are literally getting the book that she has written, which is the robots and stuff. So we're getting this robot is called a Humi, which is the robots with bodies, and then there's the AI, the no bodies, because they do have a body. And we're seeing the distinctions between these types of robots, how they think they're sentient and what they want for the world that they have created now, how they are so, the nobodies are so they are so driven to erase stories and start everything afresh and erase the whole memory of humanity and create this new world for just for themselves, while the humies, they like the things that they've gotten for humanities and they try to hold on to the stories and stuff like that. So it's a clash of those worlds. So we are getting two stories in one in this book, and I am loving it. I am loving Zelu's story with her family and her journey and the way how technology is advancing in the real world. Like, there are these self-driving cars that she takes to move around from place to place where she needs to go. Her relationship with her family. Her family is they're getting on my nerve. They are so unsupportive of her. They talk down on everything that she does. They don't really listen to her. And if they do hear anything she says, they just talk over it and they find every negative thing that have to happen. I am loving this story. It's really interesting and I can't wait to see what else. I am only 37% way in, and I will come back and do another check-in when I get further along the book. All right.
Okay, hi friends. So I'm back with another update. I have been reading more of That of the Order by Enidi Okorafor, and I am I'm a little over halfway in the book, and I'm still having a good time. So far, I don't remember exactly where I had dropped off in the last clip, but I remember I had told you guys she was a paraplegic. So this gentleman reached out to her because he had gotten in a hiking accident, so he was also paraplegic, and he worked on some technology that allowed him the ability to be able to walk again. And now, since the success of her book and the movie's been in the making. You know, she's gotten some fame and stuff. So he reached out to her saying that, hey, he saw that she's in a wheelchair and he has this technology. So they met up, and you know, she explains to her family that she wants to go try this technology, and all hell's break loose. Right? Her family is like, that's demonic, it's not of God, it's an abomination to have this technology. And I'm just like, so she can use a wheelchair but she can't get prosthetic legs? Like, make it make sense. But they're going on and on about she's always doing things to bring shame to the family. Why can't she just be normal? Why can't she just do things like a normal person? And you know, they don't want her to do it. And then after that, what else happens? So she does that. She eventually moves out of her home because honestly, she's like a 37-year-old woman, and her family is treating her like she is stuck in that 12-year-old body that got the accident. Like, that's how they treat her. They don't expect her to have autonomy. They don't expect her to make decisions for herself. They look down on everything she does. Um, Even her success as an author is not enough for them. It's like this one-off fluke thing that happens. So because for them being an author, it doesn't have the same prestige as being the lawyer, the engineer, the doctor. They don't see it as a big thing. It's just like the side thing that she does. And okay, yeah, she can do it because she has a disability, so they don't really expect much from her. And if she does do it, yeah, she has a little success, but it's almost like her success doesn't really count, you know. In her book, because remember I tell you, we're getting two-in-one stories. In the book that she's written, we're getting the story of the Humi, which is the robot in the body, and the ghost, which is the AI robot. So they've developed a kind of friendship, and now we see them remembering and deciding how they're going to distribute this bad news that they got to the other robots, that the world is basically going to be destroyed once again. So we get to see that those robots developing their own human-like relationship, which was very interesting, and we're just continue following her story along. So that's where I am loving the book. Her parents, Zelu's parents, her whole family, they're honestly very insufferable. They like they don't see her as a full person. They are insisting on seeing her on a piece of a person, and all they see is the fact that she's in a wheelchair. But they also, even though they see her just as a person in a wheelchair, they still don't see or don't think that she should be exploring her life as a full person, as a full adult. They just want to keep her in that little cube and feel sorry for her. And they don't listen, they don't give her a voice to express herself. They don't think that I don't want to say has a right, but they don't expect her to live a full life and be happy and have meaningful things that are meaningful to her. They don't expect that for her. So they talk down on everything she does, and it's almost like they have frozen her identity in a time capsule. So it's very hard for them to see beyond her injury. And yeah, that's where I am right now. Yeah, and I'm enjoying it. So I'll be back when I read some more to tell you what's going on. Okay, hey you guys, I am back with another update for the death of the author. I finally finished. I think the last time I spoke to you guys, I was just around like just under 50%. It was either like 37 or 47%. And then I hit the 50%.
50% mark, and everything happened in the book, and I just could not put it down. Okay, yes. So I think from the last time I told you guys, Zalu and her bestie, they were having, we get their relationship throughout this book, and it's a good one. I loved it. I loved how well they knew each other. We also get her book getting picked up by a production house, so they made a movie, and of course they made this movie off of the work that she wrote, and they just completely erased everything about her identity, her culture, everything that she put into this book. Because when she wrote the book, it was based in Lagos in Nigeria, but when they made the movie, it was based in America. They just made the movie something else that she didn't like. So we get to see the dichotomy of her being an author, loving her story, but seeing her work be portrayed in a way that she didn't want, but the fans absolutely loved it. So there was a lot of discourse in this book about author's work and the process, because after she writes this book, of course, it's successful, so everybody wants a book too. But we see her feeling that pressure of people always wanting that book too, but her not being in that creative space to give it to them. So there's a lot of that. Also, in the second half of this book, we get a lot of the cultural nuances, the drama of her being a part of a Igbo, Yoruba, royal Nigerian family, and it is a lot. It is a lot happens between her and her family, especially with them boxing her in so much because of her physical disability versus her always wanting to step out of that box and always create and reach further and decide who and what she wants to be. So there's a lot of that, and there's a lot of nuance in this book. I will say, while her family did get on my nerves, I still saw that they loved her and they cared for her, and I understand the fear and the cultural pressure and the idea of having to present yourself in a certain way to their community. So I got all of that because, if you've read any African books, or if you've read or you've watched any Nigerian movies, then you understand those dynamics that comes with the culture and the family in there. So that part was like top notch. And then on the other side, we continue getting the story of the book that she writes. So every few chapters we would go back into her book and progress along with it. And that story was so good. Like seeing the way the AI and the world that she built, that robotic world that she built, it was so good. It was so well done. And by the end of the book, we got this twist that I liked. I didn't anticipate it, but I could see how we built up today and why it was there. And I loved it. I loved it. At the end of this book, this author proved why she continues to be one of my favorite authors, why I continue to read her books, why I continue to buy her books. And I've only read about maybe attempted to read like 5 or 6 books so far for the year, but this one is the best one so far. And I read JTT in this blog, and I liked it. But this one here, no, when I got to the end of this book, I was cheesing. I was so happy. I was just like, oh my goodness, I've never written a review on a book so fast in my life. Right? So there we are. I love that one. I think for the rest of this vlog, I'm going to do 2 more books. And the second one, the first book I'm going to do is going to be One Dark Window, which is a romantasy. I've started listening to it on audio. I've got the 20% mark. And to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to finish it. It's about this girl, I think her name is Elspeth, is her name, when she lives in this kingdom where having magic is wrong, it's illegal, they'll get rid of you. So when she was young, she had a fever, and this is how people get the magic. But her family was able to whisk her away to go live with her aunt and her cousin away from royal society, her aunt and her uncle away from royal society. And she thankfully got through her fever, but her magic doesn't show up the way other people show up. So you can't watch her. She doesn't have her abilities doesn't manifest in a way that other people's own, where you can tell they have magic. So her own is this monster that's living inside of her, and basically it talks to her in her head, but she's the only person that can hear it. And when she's in trouble, she can call on it, and then it can lend its strength to beat up the people or run away, however she needs to do. So you can do that. And she can also sense
other magic in this world show up as cards. So cards are okay, and usually the well-to-do people, they have these cards, and if you have these cards, you have power. But she can sense the cards by seeing the color of them. Even if they're in your clothes, she can sense them, she can see them. So far in this book, the first 30 minutes of this book, I really liked it because it started with us finding out she has this thing inside of her. We got to see a little bit of her family dynamics. Her father is married to someone else, and she and her stepmother is happy with her being cast away from formal society, polite society, because she doesn't want to be embarrassed by the daughter. And so I was liking that dynamic. But so far as we go into the book, every time this monster talks to her, I shouldn't say every time, but a lot of the times the monster talks to her, he talks to her in these riddles. And I don't know if I could do that for the rest of the book. It's way too much. I think there's like 11 hours left in this audiobook. And if I have to listen to this thing talk to her in riddles, I'm going to scream, right? And then I'm finding that I'm listening, but I'm not really caring. So in this world, there's also this magical fog that's kind of encroaching on their living space, and everybody wants to get rid of it. So I know part of this book is her going on the journey with the king's nephew, who is also committing high treason because the king doesn't know what's going on, to find all these other magical cards so that they can get rid of this magical fog that smells like salt. And then besides the thing talking in riddles, the salty smelling fog, that's how you know it's magical or whatever. And then I keep hearing she using this phrase about all slick thoughts, like when the thing talks to her, and it's just annoying me. So I'm going to give it one more go, and I'm gonna give it maybe another 30 minutes. And if I still don't care and I don't like it, I'm just gonna DNF it. And after that one, I am going to read Unhinged by Octavia Grant. And this one is a novella, and I think it's about this lady that gets accused of killing her family members, and she gets put in this institution. And while she's there, she is granting interviews to some kind of reporter, and then we're just going to get all the crazy backstory to what happened in her life. And I think that one would be a pretty quick read. So we'll see how it goes. I will check back in either when I'm finished reading Unhinged and let you guys know if I DNF that book, or if not, I'll come back if I decided to continue with it. All right, so I'll see you in the next clip. Bye.
Okay, hey you guys. So I'm here to come and give a quick wrap up on Unhinged by Octavia Grant. I finished this book, and let me tell you, this book was a ride. This book is the wildest ride I have ever been on in a book in my entire life. I've never read anything else like this. Like, the lunacy and the psychoness that happened in this book is completely unmatched. So as I said before, we met Olivia, who has been thrown under the jail because she's a psycho, and she unalived her previous partner and some of his family members because she found out he was lying about his marital situation and he wasn't going to leave his wife for her. So she did that, and now she's been interviewed by Ivy, who is a reporter that's looking for like a big story to elevate her career. And in this interview, Olivia gives us a bunch of short stories that she has written since she's been incarcerated, because her profession is a writer. She's a best-selling author. So while she's locked up, she is doing what she does best, and she's writing some short stories. And these stories are very, very interesting. They are very gruesome. They are very off the wall. Like, people are being left devastated in these stories. That's the best way I can put it. And then at the end of the stories, basically, Ivy is left in shock. Her cameraman in the room with her recording the interviews also left in shock. And they start asking Olivia some questions like, wait a minute, some of these stories kind of sound a little familiar. with certain things that have happened in real life. So they're trying to figure out from her, wait, are you just recapping these incidents and turning them into stories, or do you have some information that the rest of us don't know? And the answer is going to leave you with your mouth open, right? I was flabbergasted by the end of the story, and there was a little I don't want to say it's not like an epilogue, but there's a little, the last story in the book and the little piece at the end of the interview in this book had me shell shocked, right? There were quite a few stories in this book that I really, really liked. And that sounds weird because none of these stories are happy stories, right? But they're all entertaining stories. So there, some of them were super short, give you a little taste and leave you a little wondering, and others went into details. And I don't want to spoil it, but the last story in that book did it for me. But if you like horror, if you like thriller, if you like to be on the edge of your seat, if you like to read things that make you want to turn all the lights on in your home and walk around checking crevices, then read this book. Read Unhinged by Octavia Grant. It comes out in January. By the time you see this vlog, it would have already, it's out now. So, and it's a short read, it's not long at all. So I'm definitely saying give this one a try. Okay guys, so once again, thanks for stopping by and staying throughout this reading vlog with me. I hope you guys may have found a book maybe you that wasn't on your radar before, but you know, I just introduced you to something new, or maybe you found a book that you already read and love, and we have a little community here. Either way, thanks for sticking by. I really enjoyed all of these books, and I am so happy that I decided to DNF the one I DNF, because you know, I want to stop forcing myself to reading books that I'm not enjoying. And you know, usually I'll push to, like, you know, further along in the book, but that's one of my goals this year, is that once I realize a book is really not working for me, just move on to the next. I have so many unread books on my shelf, and especially for a book that I don't even own, it didn't even matter. So yeah, I'm happy with the books I read. I love the experiences that I had throughout this vlog, and I'll see you next week in the next video. Bye.